always comes to this. Hello there guys, back again to do another tattoo progress update. Where I last left off, I showed off this piece with Rick here, the new green, pink, purple, blue, yellow, whatever the fuck. Pretty well every color on the black that we did. It's just about to start shedding. You can see that a little bit. If I get real close here, you can see the little crack showing there. So it's a little over 2 days in, and yeah, it'll be peeling here by the end of the night is more or less what I'm assuming. It'll probably be fully peeled by tomorrow. I've been talking about doing a big-ish session. I guess it's not big as in the amount of time that I actually sat, but we covered a lot of ground quick, Terry and I. As you can see here, we redid all the red here, or at least most of the area has been resaturated with red velvet on my head, and then we brushed in some red velvet here, so it's not quite as dense of a session on my chest / shoulder area. Just kind of brushed it in. The brushing it in was done more or less intentionally because Terry was wanting to see now where we had a really good base to it already. If we didn't pack it, like you just brush it, you're not getting much trauma. There's almost no blood, almost no damage done, just to see how the color would work, being that it's already on a base. Whereas the top here, especially in the front, Terry packed it more. The front was the weakest part of it, but there were some spots along the side here and the back of my neck, which I'll show off, that were and probably still will be slightly problematic. There's some stuff there that didn't want to cover as well, but being that I will be growing my hair in again here in a few weeks, I wanted to do one more shot on this so that I could say that it's all been passed 3 times up there, the red velvet anyway. And every time I've grown my hair in, when I've shaved it again, my head tattoos have lightened up. And being that I'm a bit of a control freak, let's be honest, I like to have a lot of control of my tattoos. I don't like the idea of them aging or lightening beyond my control while I have my hair growing out. And if I could say switch back and forth between being bald one day and having hair the next, that's kind of what I would do. I like being bald. I actually think I probably look a little better with hair. I think I look younger and a little less mean with hair, but I digress. My wife prefers me with hair for anyone who cares. I do feel like having your full head tattooed, it's a bit of a shame to have hair all the time, so I'm always pulled to shave it and see the head tattoos, but I was a little worried about how they would age. So with having that done, I've still got some projects coming up with Terry that I've talked about here. I want to get back into the eye again. I'll show off the eye here. I want to put little stars and some smoky texture in over the color. There's a little bit of the color I want to do again, but overall it's pretty good. Pretty happy with how the first pass went. So it won't be too crazy, the color that we do in there, but the overall, the biggest part of what I'm doing next there will be adding like stars and stuff like that to make it more spacey. I'm giving thought to putting light blue in between the red highlights on my chest and sides and my ribs and stomach, just because I feel like putting the light blue highlights in between the red and having almost no black or white there as crazy as an idea as that may seem, all it is color theory. It's just if you have that color play between the red and the blue, both will pop more, and the whole thing will be a little bit more separate. With that said, once I do that, I can't take that back, so I'm weighing my options on that one heavily before I proceed with that. Believe it or not, I have some more plans for this sleeve coming up. I have some ideas for the sleeve that I'm going to be getting to here in the next few weeks. I'm not going to talk about that today, but I think that it will change this sleeve for the better. I don't know exactly what that looks like right now. It's just conceptual, but the rose sleeve has some more permutations to go, and I'm sure that will be a shock to no one. Now that I have it more or less stabilized and where I want it to be, and it's not so much about maintenance or building the layers or getting it, solid. Now I can just think about how to make it better or how to enrich it, make it pop more, all of that stuff. So, but again, I won't be making it worse, is my thinking. It's like when you're in an area like me where, like I said, with the blue highlights or now the additions to my sleeve, where you already have things at a pretty decent level, and it's, Christ knows it's a lot to begin with, everything I've done. You can very easily go too far, and that sounds ridiculous coming from me, but when you're constantly innovating things, it's really easy to do more just for the sake of more. It's the same as when you're say maybe when you're getting breast implants and you go too big, or you get lip implants and your lips are now enormous and you look like a fucking Muppet character or something, like your lips are just too big now, and you'll never notice, and maybe for you they look great, but I had that with my labret piercing, where when I was stretching my labret, I got really into the stretching journey, and it became less like, oh, that looks good, and more like, oh, I want to make it bigger, and it doesn't really matter if it looks good or not. Like, at the time, you're thinking it looks good. It wasn't until I started looking back at old pictures of what it looked like before it got so big that I decided that it actually didn't look as good as I thought it did, and or at least I wasn't as into it as I thought I would be. And also just seeing the way that my lip moved when I spoke, I wasn't super thrilled with that. And being that I was doing more and more videos, and my TikTok was taking off more, and my YouTube React series was becoming more popular, I didn't feel like I sounded any different, but I didn't want it to affect my presentation as much as it was. And so that's what made the choice for me to reduce the size of my labret piercing. Well, so a combination of factors, and I actually have a whole video about how I did that, because people still ask so often how I reduced the size of my labret piercing. But with that said, I run the risk of doing that with my tattoos as well, where it's like I like getting tattooed, so it's very easy for me to make a mess or to go farther than I should have on an individual project. When you're just doing multiple passes, the idea is just to make what you already have there better, or more solid, more clear, or enhance the clarity of any given project. For example, another thing I have coming up here this year, I want to do the red on my face and neck one more time to get it to the same, clarity as my sleeve, dense it up a bit. So the neck took better than the sleeve to begin with, so I'm hoping that because that's true, my neck will be even denser. It'll be even more solid when I'm done. But when you're doing renovations and you're changing things and altering existing work just for the sake of getting tattooed, like I run the risk of, you really need to make sure your decision makes sense and will actually enhance the piece. I have had people, wonder why I did the red on my spider eyes or in between the spider eyes. But, I knew that it wouldn't be as drastic as what people were thinking it would be. I always know that these things are going to be, more or less subtle. If you're not really doing a whole lot, you're just kind of hitting touches of red here and there. It's just going to cut things apart, right? But now if I were to have packed that and covered everything in there, I think that would have been too much. With that said, if I do the blue in there, and now the red is, more defined and more noticeable in all of these places, I don't know. That's why I haven't done it yet. But I've been thinking of that ever since I did the red there. It's not spur of the moment. This hasn't just come up. These things are always well thought out. This is the thing. People who see me doing these things, they assume that it's all like spur of the moment or something. This work can't be done that way. So everything that I'm doing is well thought out and rehearsed almost ahead of time. There will be a mock-up done of what that would actually look like before I proceed with that. With that said, it's still, you run a risk, right? There's so many people who think a certain version of my bodysuit was the greatest version of it, and that version's never coming back. So there's a tipping point for this bodysuit too, where it's like, I'll get to a place with this where the collective consciousness will agree that a certain point of it was the best point. Like, before I started adding the red, a lot of people really liked the black and gray version of my white and black on black. But then when I did the red in the sleeve and now adding red to my torso, I'm getting some of the black and gray type people that are wishing that I didn't do that. Or in harsher terms, thinking I'm stupid or crazy or I've ruined everything or whatever the case. It only ever has to make sense to me. I will explain my reasoning, but not because I'm justifying it necessarily or I don't believe in it and I'm trying to convince anyone of it. I like to explain my thought process, even so that I can watch this back later on. One day when I'm at the end of my journey, I might actually watch all of these vlogs and relive this, my glory days. And these vlogs have always been, to some extent, a diary of my tattoo journey, and same as my Instagram. It's nice. You're capturing the moment. I would be making these if no one was watching, and that's a fact. I don't know if I do them every time, but I would be making these vlogs. I was making them when I had no audience, so and there was just a couple of weirdos watching these every now and then. That's a fact. You can go back and you can see my first videos. I would come on here, talk about a tattoo session, and they almost always were just rambling, incoherent piles of nonsense. I mean, to some degree they still are. I'm rambling now. But I wanted to do that because I knew I was about to embark on a brand new tattoo journey, and that I was just really starting to get heavily involved in the full body blackout, and I felt like documenting that would be wise and maybe helpful for someone else who was thinking about doing that or on the fence about doing something similar. And so I think there's value in that, not just for me, but potentially others as well. Now, with that said, I'm at a place now where a lot of my upper body, at least, is getting to the point where a lot of it is saturated already, and these are just choices that I'm making now. They're not all going to be upgrades. Some of them are just going to be trade-offs or changes. Whereas when I first started adding things over my blackout, a lot of people were just excited to see that you could do that. Now I'm at the place where most people who have functioning brains agree that you can do that if you've been watching me. And now it's just about, well, I wouldn't have done it that way, or he shouldn't have done that, he should have done this, or we're just debating on the choices artistically, not the technical ability to do it anymore, which is better in my opinion, but it's a different problem, because now it's like, all I have to say to that is, well, you have your own body and you could do the tattoo your way somewhere else, or you could do it a different way on yourself. I've shown you this now, so don't be upset that I'm doing it my way. Is my critique of that. But yeah, I'm at that place where it's not necessarily going to be an upgrade every time. It's just going to be a change. And some people argued that the blackout in general was better than what I'm doing now, and I like the blackout. For me, it's never been about I want better. It's been about I like getting tattooed and I want to do more. So anyway, I thought I'd talk a minute about my back. I have talked a lot about it, but this last heal was really easy. The chunks came off, like the peel was really easy. Because we used that 123 mag, the peel was like the biggest peel I've ever seen. So the chunks were like that big, and I was flaking in like, yeah, a little less than 2.5 days or whatever it was. And when I took my shirt off when I got home from work the one night, it was like it was showering just black snake skin. It was pretty cool. I haven't been half as itchy. The first time I had my back blacked out when I worked out for the first like 2 weeks, I got super hot and super itchy. That hasn't been the case this time. I've just been a little itchy. So again, multiple passes is the way to go. You're going to see that with this. I'm expecting a really smooth heal with this. It's going to be, I think, the best it's been. And I expect it's actually going to stay pretty solid this time. I'm still not sure what the head's going to look like, and I'm just going to have to deal with that. I'm just going to have to sign off on the fact that it might not be perfect and move on, because I do want to grow my hair in. So I think this was either the 14th or 15th session I've had on my head this year, and some of those areas I'm getting a little over. Anyway, I've ranted enough. This is longer than I expected it to be. Got another session coming up with Rick. We're going to be working on more of the face of the Cthulhu piece, and then I've got one more session with Terry before I have a week off tattooing, believe it or not. So I'll just show how this turned out. Full wrap around, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.